What's going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today we'll be talking about my favorite Vivobarefoot shoe. So this is not their entire product catalog. However, if you are looking into Vivobarefoot for more of an active lifestyle focused shoe, these are pairs that I like for different reasons. Everything is timestamped down below, so please jump around accordingly. But all that said, let's dive in. The Primus Lite III. So who is this shoe going to be best for? I think if you're somebody who's looking into Vivobarefoot and you've never worn their shoes before and you're not exactly sure where to start, the Primus Lite III can be a really good option. This model works exceptionally well for lifting, cross training, and daily wear, so it's a good do-it-all style shoe. Now, three things to like with this model is number one, it's very consistent. So whether it's for daily wear or for training, the shoe has a very consistent fit and feel, and it works really well in a lot of different settings. It also has a very simple and clean aesthetic, so you can dress them up and wear them out, and they don't look necessarily overly gym focused. So if you want a consistent barefoot shoe that has a decent price point, relatively speaking, for Vivobarefoot, the Primus Lite III can work really well. The second reason why I like this shoe is its breathability. So with this model's upper, you can wear them with or without socks and they breathe really well. And so if you're somebody who's living in a hotter climate, for example, this can be a really great option to look into. You can also wear thicker socks and they'll be a little bit warmer, but the breathability of the upper is definitely one of the perks of this shoe. The third pro with this shoe is that you can take the insole out and get even closer to the ground. So if you're new to barefoot shoes, you can leave that insole in. It gives you a little bit more cushion. And then if you're like me and you like to train with the shoe without the insole in, like it is now with this finished internal construction to get more proprioception, get closer to the ground, you can also do so. So you get a lot of versatility with this model, and that kind of stacks on the consistency of this model. Now, two cons that come along with this shoe is number one, the tread. This tread can fade if you're using them for a lot of high volume concrete use. We don't have the most aggressive lugs here. So if you plan to walk a lot on concrete, for example, or you're walking on slicker or damper surfaces, you might want to consider this because the shoe can get a little bit slippery at times, and it's also not the best regarding long-term durability from high volume concrete use. The second con that comes along with the shoe is the sizing can be a little bit all over the place. If you're in between sizes and you normally have your shoes fitting relatively true, I would say go down versus up if you're in between sizes. The sizing is one of those things that's just kind of annoying with this model line because all the shoes fit a little bit differently. So if you do have a question there, drop a comment down below. The Motus Strength. Who is this shoe going to be best for? If you're somebody who needs a model for lifting, cross training, or CrossFit, this is going to be your go-to. Of all the shoes in this video, this is going to give you the most durability regarding abrasion on the upper. So if you're doing rope climbs, if you're doing anything where the toe might be dragging, this shoe will give you more protection long term. Now, three pros that come along with this model. Number one, the outsole in this shoe is a little bit more rigid compared to like the Primus Lite III here and the Primus Lite IV all weather and the Primus Lite Knit, etc. These lugs are a little bit more aggressive, so if you're worried about grip in the gym and you're primarily focused on lifting or having grip for doing any form of agility and cutting work, this can be a really great option to look into. The second pro that comes along with the shoe is the upper construction and how it's a little bit more abrasion resistant. So if you're doing rope climbs, you have medial sidewalls here for additional grip, but then also this upper, because we have overlays and a thicker material, it does a really good job at not breaking down fast. This model has a very high price point, so that is a good thing, trust me, to prolong your investment. So the heavier upper in the shoe can also be a perk for folks who do like having more built out shoes on their feet. The third pro that comes along with the shoe is if you like a little bit more ankle support, this can be a good option to look into. We have this TPU overlay here that locks down that boot, but then you also have an extended cup here around the outsole. So on the lateral, medial, and back of the heel, you get a little bit more support in the shoe regarding your ankle. Now, two cons that come along with the shoe. Number one, it's going to run hotter than the other models up here. So because we have a heavier upper construction, it's not going to have the best breathability. Trust me, you'll notice this on hotter days. Here in Austin, Texas, I notice that a lot in my gym on it. Because the shoe is heavier, my feet tend to run hotter and sweatier in this model. The second con that comes along with the shoe is if you're somebody who wants like the least amount of material possible, you'll obviously want to pass on this model. This TPU at times can feel a little bit heavy, and so if you want a model that has a lot more flexibility and give to it for like mobility, body weight, etc., and just daily wear, the Motus Strength is not going to be your best bet. The Primus Lite IV all weather. Now, this is a very specific shoe, and it's actually one of those models that took a few weeks to really grow on me. Now, who is this shoe going to be best for? If you are a city dweller and you're both active and you want a shoe for daily wear, but also a shoe that can weather a lot of different climates, that's where the all-weather is going to come into play. This upper does a lot better with rain and just resisting overall elements of a damp and dirty environment. Now, three things to like with this shoe is number one, obviously the upper is a little bit better than the Primus Lite III regarding keeping your foot dry, but then also protected from rain and also colder weather. So this upper is a little bit more water resistant And if you're somebody who's gonna be walking out and about and maybe encountering puddles, but then also trying to go to the gym, this can be a good bet for both keeping your feet dry, but then also being easy to clean. This model is relatively easy to clean if you get them dirty, for example, and whatnot. The second pro and thing to like with this model is it works exceptionally well for both lifting and cross training. With the shoe's upper, it actually took a minute to grow on me, but I do like its security better for cross training compared to the Primus Lite III at times. With this model, because the upper has this TPU reinforced layer, it works a little bit better for lateral work. And so if you're somebody who does a lot of cross training and you're worried about your shoe's upper, this can be a great option to look into. And then the third thing to like with this model is you can also take that insole out and get a little bit closer to the ground, so you do get a little bit of variance with this shoe as well, which is pretty standard for every Vivobarefoot model. Now, two cons that come along with the shoe. Number one, it's not going to be the most breathable, so if you are worried about breathability, and again, you're an active but also daily wear focused individual, go Primus Lite III, you'll save a little bit of money and you'll have better breathability. And the second con that comes along with the shoe is with the upper construction being a little bit more rigid. If you have a higher instep or a thicker foot, you're probably going to notice that a little bit more in the shoe. This tongue can press in the top of the foot. It can be a little bit uncomfortable at times, so you might want to consider that before buying the shoe, or buy them and keep in mind that you may have to return them because your foot anatomy, if you have a thicker foot, may not align with the Primus Lite IV all-weather. The Motus Flex, aka what I would call the Motus Strength's counterpart. So this is not going to be a shoe that I think everybody needs to invest in. However, if they resonate with you, I think the shoe is pretty dang sick. Now, who is this shoe going to be best for? If you're somebody that wants a barefoot shoe for daily wear, casual wear, but then also like some body weight mobility and just general cross training and lifting, this can be a really good option to look into. So three pros that come along with the Motus Flex is number one, the sole construction has brakes, so it's very flexible. This is one of the most articulative barefoot shoes that I've worn from Vivobarefoot, and so if you're big on having as much flexibility as possible, I think you will like the Motus Flex feel on the foot. The second pro that comes along with the shoe is the booty style construction, and this model is a lot more comfortable than the Primus Lite Knit. With this shoe, the boot's a little bit softer and you don't have as much of an aggressive toe break up here with this knit. It's a lot more form-fitting to the foot. You don't feel this material pressing, and so if you're big on comfort with your booty style shoes or just your barefoot shoes in general, this can be a really good thing with this shoe. The third pro that comes along with the shoe is the tread of the outsole. So you have this flexible outsole, but you also have a pretty aggressive tread patterning on this model. If you're worried about grip on different surfaces, I don't think you're gonna have an issue whatsoever with the Motus Flex. And then also, like all Vivobarefoot shoes, you can take this insole out and get closer to the ground for even more ground feel and a more grippy ground feel at that. Now, two cons that come along with the Motus Flex. Number one, you can have spillover at times if you're doing really aggressive cutting. Because this knit is softer and has a bit more stretch and give to it, it's not gonna be the best for security. That is pretty standard with a booty style knit focused shoe. And then number two, if you're wearing the shoe out and about in wet and damp climates or dirty climates, be very conscious of the breaks of the sole. That is something that could break this shoe down a little bit faster, so definitely stay conscious of that. That's why I don't necessarily love this shoe for all season wear in every single context, because we do have a lot of flex here and breaks. That can lead the shoe to being a little bit more vulnerable in certain elements. The Primus Asana. So who is this shoe going to be best for? If your bias is primarily for a daily wear barefoot shoe, for both office wear, casual wear, etc., but then also some training, that's where the Asana can work. So three pros that come along with this shoe is number one, the appearance. This model has a nice clean aesthetic to it, and honestly, it's one of those shoes that you can dress up with pants and in shorts, wear them business casually, and they look pretty good. They don't look necessarily overly barefooty, which some people I know can get turned off with. The second pro with this shoe is that you can train in them. Because we have the same outsole that's used in the Primus models, the shoe does have a lot of articulation and flex to it. So if you do want to take the shoe to the gym, for example, after work or before work, this can be a model that works really well in a variety of lifting and cross training settings. The third pro that comes along with this shoe is the upper construction and how comfortable it is. With this model, the toe break isn't super aggressive like it can be with the Primus Lite Knit. This knit material is a little bit more form-fitting, soft, and it breathes really well. So if you're concerned at all about this model having the same issues that some of the other Primus models can, like the Primus Lite IV All Weather or the Primus Lite Knit, I don't think that's necessarily going to be a concern with this shoe, because with this overlay here, it's a little bit softer. Now, two cons that come along with the Primus Asana: if you have a lower volume or narrow foot, if you tighten the shoe a lot, you can have a little bit of overlap here with the bottom of the laces. Not the biggest deal, but it isn't the most aesthetically pleasing feature of this shoe. Also, if you do have a thicker forefoot, you will probably notice that pressing into your foot. So you might be the exception there with the toe break in this model. The second con that comes along with the shoe is, obviously, if you're wanting a shoe for training, you're not going to necessarily get the most out of this model compared to some of the more active focused shoes in this roundup, but this model will have lower thresholds compared to other models in this video that also work for daily wear. All right, y'all, hopefully this video helped shed some light on some of Vivobarefoot's more like core active lifestyle focused shoes and which you should go with. If you have additional questions on any of the models featured in this video or other models that might not have been features that I still wear that I didn't choose to include in this video, drop a comment down below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, y'all, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.